Hi there, Mark here again, and in this video I'm going to be doing a long-term review on the iconic Tamiya Blitzer Beetle. Now the Blitzer Beetle has been around for quite some time. It was originally released on the Falcon chassis in 1993, but the version I've got here is the re-release that came out in 2011. Now I'm pretty sure there's not much difference between the two versions. Pretty much that the re-release came with an ESC rather than the mechanical speed controller. Now I've had this model for about 7 years, and as you can see it's had plenty of use and abuse. So that means that I can tell you about the good points, the not so good points, i.e. the parts that are most likely to break, and also go through a few of the hop-ups and mods that I've done to this to hopefully improve it over the stock setup. So this kit is still widely available, and I'd class it as pretty much an entry-level Tamiya, to be honest with you, because it's about £130 in the UK at the moment for the kit only. And I'd say it's actually a bit of a bargain because it comes fully equipped with CVA oil-filled shocks all round, double wishbone suspension front and back. You've got full metal drivetrain in the back there, and to top it all off, it comes with this wonderfully detailed hard ABS body, which is unusual for a Tamiya at this price point, complete with a really cool driver figure, if you can just see him in there. So let's get this on the bench and have a closer look. So here she is then, up close and personal. Let's get the body off and we'll have a look at that first. So as I said, it's made of hard ABS plastic, and the advantage of that is you can get a lot more detail onto these hard plastic bodies. As you can see, the panel lines and that are really sharp, but as you can probably see by the cracks in the paintwork there, again on that side between the fender and the body, and at the front here it's all cracked. This nose piece is a separate part that you screw and glue onto the main body. And if you look carefully, you can see the cracks there where this has completely snapped off the front in the past, and I've had to screw it and glue it back on. But the main thing to remember really is that if you want to keep your shell looking pristine, then if you're going to run this with a faster motor and you're going to run it on a hard surface like a road, it will roll over. You will at minimum scratch the paintwork, because obviously you have to spray the paint on the outside of the body, so the paint will chip off, as you can see. And in worst case, as I have, you will crack it and snap parts off. I've got one mirror left on, as you can see, but they do snap off very easily. They're a very thin piece of plastic, hard plastic that just snaps. But as I said before, I don't know if you can see them in there, but the driver is a nice detail as well, and it's good fun to paint him up. And obviously you can see I haven't gone box hard with this. You can just, well, the sky's the limit, and your imagination can run wild with this thing. It's a really fun thing to paint up. But if you're going to run your Blitzer Beetle hard and probably put a faster motor in like I have, we'll talk about that later, then I recommend keeping this as a spare and getting yourself a Lexan basher body. Okay, so this is a Lexan Beetle body from Camtech, and this is actually older than the Blitzer Beetle body itself. I originally got this to put on my Monster Beetle. They are exactly the same fittings and the same size, and yeah, so sprayed from the inside obviously. It's not got as much detail as the Blitzer Beetle body or as the Tamiya Lexan body, for example, the one that comes on the MF01X, the Beetle for that. But I think you could probably make that Tamiya body fit. But this is quite a lot cheaper, and I've got to say, this has had so much beating. I can't believe that it's still in one piece, but it is. There you go. If you're after a cheap basher body, check out Camtech. Okay, so onto the chassis. So as you can see, it's a basic bathtub construction in the middle here, and then you've got your front and rear suspension and a gearbox. So you've got your rear gearbox here bolted onto the bathtub at the back, and the front suspension assembly connected to the front. You've got these massive and chunky lower arms. No problem with those at all. They're very strong. So as you can see, the battery sits across the chassis in the middle, held down by that strap there. You've got a plate here that I think used to hold the old mechanical speed controller. I've fitted my receiver onto that. We'll talk about the ESC and motor in a minute, but I've made an aluminium plate to move that towards the back of the car because the leads are too short. You've got your servo at the front, and that operates the steering rods directly with no linkages, so that's a nice easy setup. However, I did find a problem with the steering of the stock setup in the fact that there's a lot of bumps here, so when you compress the suspension, the wheels the camber was changing massively. I'll just show you a clip of that now. As you can see, when the suspension compresses, you get a massive geometry change there. As the wheels splay out or toe out, you can see from the top. That is quite bad. So I've been told that all we need to do is to change these uprights. So as standard setup, these tie rods are on the top, the ball joints are on the top. So what we're going to try and do is swap those over. So as you can see, the steering knuckle there, I've swapped them over from side to side so that instead of the ball being on the top, it's now underneath. But what I didn't say in the previous video that I did on that modification is that ball end on the end of the steering arm can catch on the back of that lower wishbone, and you can see I've just shaved off a little bit with a knife, a little bit of that wishbone, and I've filed down the end of the screw pin that it pivots on. So you might be able to see on full lock it just misses now, and yeah, so you might not have to make that little modification to the lower arm, but yeah, just bear that in mind if you do make that mod. But as you can see, it does completely cure that change in the steering geometry when the suspension goes up and down. As you can see, we've got CVA oil shocks all round. The standard ones I find are perfectly good. I have changed out the front ones for some aluminium track style ones just because I had them lying around, but there's no real need, I don't think, to upgrade the suspension. It works perfectly well out of the box. Okay, so as you can see, I have changed the motor, and that's because with the stock silver can it was a little bit slow. I think it went 17 miles an hour was its top speed, and after a while I must admit I got a little bit bored with it. It was a bit too slow. It wasn't even fast enough to pull wheelies from a standstill, so I wanted a little bit more fun, a little bit more top speed, and the main thing I wanted is more acceleration. So I fitted this Sky RC brushless combo. It's a Leopard V2 and it's a 12 turn sensorless brushless, and you just see there, and it came with the corresponding ESC. But as I said earlier, the leads weren't long enough to locate the ESC at the front of the chassis where it's supposed to go, and as you can see I've made that aluminium plate and fitted it onto that so that I didn't have to modify the wires. So that's just the standard setup, and I think that works quite well. So as you can see, it's a 3300 kV 12 turn motor, and I think that is about right for this chassis in my opinion. You could go a bit crazier, but I just wanted the thing to be quite a bit faster but not mental. And if you can see from some of the running footage that I've included in this video, that it is pretty quick as it is. But as I said earlier, when you ramp up the speed that much more than stock, you are going to have a lot more rollovers and a lot more crashes, and hence why I think you need that basher body. But I have to say, one thing that's impressed me about this chassis is that I haven't broken anything on this. It has been thrashed within an inch of its life, I've got to tell you, and it just keeps bouncing back for more. And I think, oh, that's a lie. There's one thing that has broken, and that is a wheel axle. I'll just show you now.
Yep. I was going to say, did that quite well. Oi!
Where's the speed meter gone?
Oh wait, yeah, it's just on the side. Okay. Oh, that's
what
the wrong
does it
way.
say?
29.
29 miles an hour.
So what's that? 4
So
more.
just the very end where the bolt goes onto the end of the axle snapped off. Pete Wiley, thanks, you did tell me that was going to happen, but I think that's the weakest point, and the only point, as I say, that I have actually managed to break on this. Now you might be wondering, what is that bit of plastic sticking out the back? And that is just temporary. I've got to work out how to get a wheelie bar on this, because with this motor in now, as you've seen from the clips, the thing just wheelies like crazy and it goes straight up in the air, and what it's actually ended up doing is it's ground the end of the gearbox off there by that bolt at the back. And yeah, so that's just to stop it from wearing all the way through. As I say, I'm going to look at some kind of wheelie bar in the future, and if I do, I shall make a little video about it. So the last thing I want to talk about is the tyres, and these front ones, there's kind of ribs and spikes, as you can see, and they are fantastic. I really do rate those. Mainly they're there for sideways grip. Obviously they don't provide any drive, and yeah, for that they are just perfect. Really like them. And even though this has had quite some use on road and tarmac, they are still performing as new, 7 years old. But the same can't be said for the rear tyres. So here are the stock Blitzer rear tyres. They've got this kind of cross and spike kind of pattern on them, and when they're new they are very, very good. I do like them, but if you're running on hard surfaces, like I said, especially road, they won't last 5 minutes. And when mine worn down, which they did pretty quickly, I decided to try something else. So I went for these HPI ground assault rears, and I've got to say I've been really impressed with these. Don't be put off by the pin spike look of them. They get great grip off road and on tarmac. They come in a few different compounds, I think, and these are the softest ones, and they really are soft, as you can see, and they come complete with the foam inserts. So these have been on well over 5 years, maybe 6 years now, and I haven't had to change them, and as I say, they've had a lot of use, so I can highly recommend these tyres. So here it is with that Camtech body shell on, and I think you'll agree it looks pretty good, especially when it's whizzing along at nearly 30 miles an hour. Yeah, so that's pretty much my review of the Tamiya Blitzer Beetle, and I'm pretty sure you can tell that I really rate this truck. Yeah, I've had some great fun with it over the years. It still puts a smile on my face, and like I said, apart from that one axle braking, it's as robust as they come. The gearbox can take all the power of that brushless motor. I had no problems with that. I can 100% fully recommend this marvellous kit, especially, as I said, at only about 130 quid. I hope you enjoyed this little review. I intend to do a few more. Let me know what you'd like to see, and of course, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.